Hey everybody, Thomas Joseph here, and today I'm excited to share with you a kitchen conundrum that you have all been asking about. Now, there are so many different types of chili peppers out there in the marketplace, even in supermarkets these days, and it can be quite confusing. Which chili pepper do I use when? What's super hot? What's a little bit more mild? And what are some dishes that I can use these in? Well, today I'm going to share with you kind of a 101 to chili peppers, and hopefully I will encourage you to pick them up from your supermarket and give them a try. Let's get started. Now, before I tackle the different varieties in front of me, one thing that I want to talk about in terms of chili peppers in general, and even bell peppers, when you're buying peppers, you want to make sure that you have a pepper that has a nice firm skin to it that isn't wrinkled or dehydrated or dried out. That means that the pepper is actually old, meaning old on the shelf or old in the produce section. So if it is wrinkly and dried out, or if it has any bruising or brown spots, you want to make sure that you pass that one over and get something that's firm. The flesh should be pretty firm. Shiny is always best, and there should be no wrinkles. So that's what you should look for in a chili pepper or a bell pepper. Now, I'm gonna start out over here with kind of a pepper that's been in fashion these days, especially in New York and in a lot of urban cities, and these are Shishito peppers. Now, Shishito peppers are a Japanese chili pepper, and they're quite mild, but maybe 1 in 10 can be pretty hot. So it's kind of a fun surprise when you're eating a batch of these and one is a little bit spicy, but it's not too much where it's really gonna burn your palate. Now, Shishito peppers can range in color when they're more immature, kind of a light green, and they could even go to a darker, not really an emerald green, but maybe a darker version of the green I have here. Now, Shishito peppers in and of themselves, their skin is a little bit wrinkly, but it's not dried out. Shishito peppers can range in size from 2 inches like what I have here, and they could even be longer than that. The longer they are, the more mature they tend to be. So I prefer the size like this, these small guys. Now, Shishito peppers in a lot of restaurants these days are served just blistered, so a nice hot cast iron skillet with a tiny bit of oil on the Shishito peppers, and you throw them in the pan and blister them up. They're really fantastic. You can grill these. They're really great on kebabs. You can even fry them with a little bit of tempura batter, and they're fantastic there as well. Now, moving along, I have in front of me, this is a Poblano pepper, and a Poblano pepper in its fresh form is turned into an ancho chili in its dried form. Ancho chilies are used in a lot of chili powders and spice blends, and they're also used and rehydrated in a lot of chilies or salsas and sauces in Latin American and Mexican cuisines. Now, you want to look for a really dark color when it comes to a fresh poblano, a really dark emerald green, something that's really shiny and reflective like the one I have here. Now, poblano peppers typically have a thinner skin, not too thick, and I'm going to break this one to show you that it's much thinner than a bell pepper would be. And this is kind of characteristic of a poblano pepper. Now, sometimes recipes call for roasted poblano peppers, and that's really great because it intensifies the wonderful flavor and sweetness of the poblano pepper, but it can be a little difficult because they are so thin-skinned to get that outer skin off when you roast it. Now, poblano peppers are typically used in a kind of fun and classic Mexican dish called chiles rellenos, and that is stuffed with cheese. So delicious and served with a sauce. Now, poblano peppers are mild in heat. 1 or 2 could be pretty spicy, but they have a nice green, grassy flavor that's really fantastic in a lot of different dishes. Now, moving on from the poblano peppers, we have this, and this is cubanelle pepper, also known as a sweet Italian frying pepper. These are usually lighter in color, so a light green, sometimes even a little yellow in color. And these peppers are used in a lot of different dishes. They can be stuffed, they can be fried, as I was saying before. They could be used as the base for a wonderful sofrito. They're really fantastic, and they have a good flavor. Now, kind of a relative of them, the Anaheim pepper here, it gets its name from the city in Southern California. It is said to be originally grown or cultivated in New Mexico, and it's typically used in a lot of Southwestern cuisine and Mexican cuisine. Now, moving on to probably the most popular chili pepper out there that we use a lot in the United States, and that is the jalapeno here. Now, jalapenos these days seem to not be as spicy as they once were. Maybe again, you kind of get 1 in 10 that are really super spicy, but jalapenos are great, and sometimes you'll find them in their more mature form, which is the red jalapeno. So as the pepper grows on the plant, it transitions from a dark emerald green into this fiery, vibrant red color here. Taste-wise, it's a little bit sweeter, and that kind of goes in line with peppers in general. If you think about it, a green bell pepper, which ultimately will transition into a red bell pepper, isn't as sweet because the fruit hasn't fully matured on the plant. Next in line, I have a serrano pepper. Now, a serrano pepper has a good amount of heat to it, and it's a little bit more predictable in terms of that spiciness than a jalapeno. The serrano chilies are really fantastic. They're more narrow. They're kind of similar in shape to a jalapeno, but it's not too crazy like the habanero, which I will show you soon. But it is a great chili to start with if you're trying to get into spicy food. Next up, we have finger chilies here, and finger chilies are really fantastic. They're used in a lot of Southeast Asian cuisines. Again, they start off in the green form and transition into the red form as they mature. Finger chilies are indeed spicy. Sometimes there is a variance in the level of spiciness. And by the way, you guys, I haven't really talked about this, but there is an actual scale or rating of spiciness in chili peppers, which is called the Scoville scale. And that is a measure of the actual spiciness. So if you're really curious about it, do a little bit of research. Each chili pepper has a specific point rating or range because obviously some peppers are a little spicier than others. It depends on where they're grown, but do a little research and you'll find the numbers yourself, and you can really gauge whether or not something's too spicy for you. Now, we have a really interesting odd pepper that I actually had never seen before, and I guess this is called an apple pepper or a manzana pepper, which manzana means apple in Spanish. And it's a really fruity pepper, so it actually has a lot of really great flavor. It has this beautiful orange color to it, and I actually tried it, and it has a really wonderful citrusy flavor to it. Next to this, I have a similar fruit-named pepper, and this is a cherry pepper. And these are typically sold pickled in the United States. It's kind of hard to find them fresh unless you're in the summer months or you're at a farmer's market, but they have a really nice flavor. Sometimes they're spicy and sometimes they're a little bit sweeter, so you really have to give them a try to find out which batch is what. Now, next in line is one of my favorite chili peppers that's used a lot in Southeast Asian food, in Thai food, and that is the Thai bird chili, also known as the bird's eye chili or bird chili. And they come typically in 2 different colors, or sometimes there are 3. You might see some yellow ones, but as we've been saying, the immature versions are green, and as they mature, they turn into this really beautiful red. And Thai bird chilies are usually a few inches in length, not much longer than that. Now, you can certainly experiment with them if you are a little cautious when it comes to spicy or hot things. You can take out the seeds and the pith or the veining on the inside of the chili, and you'll get some really great flavor without all of that heat. The majority of the heat is stored in the seeds and the pith of chili peppers. Now, I haven't mentioned this before, but we have some numbers when it comes to these Thai bird chilies, and these guys rate about 50,000 units to 100,000 units on the Scoville scale. Now, last but not least, I have one of the hottest peppers out there, and that is the habanero. Now, habaneros come in many different colors, but the version I have here is orange, and I would say that this is probably the most typical when you find these in the supermarket or in your specialty market. Now, habaneros are, as I said before, one of the spiciest peppers, up there with Scotch bonnets and the ghost pepper, which is even higher up there on the scale. And habaneros have this really interesting shape. It's almost like a lantern shape. They're really beautiful. You can find habaneros in many different forms. In hot sauces, you can find habaneros that are pickled, and a little bit goes a long way here, guys. So you don't really need to use much to get that lingering heat, because that's what's going to happen here. You're going to get a lingering heat. Now, habanero peppers on the Scoville scale range from 100,000 to about 300,000. So it's really kind of a spicy pepper, and you should proceed with caution. Now, When cutting up chilies at home for your recipe, make sure that you either wear gloves when you're dealing with a really hot pepper like a habanero or even a bird's eye, and try to avoid touching your eyes. Otherwise, you are going to get a burning sensation, a stinging. So these are just a few of the chili pepper varieties out there in the world, in the marketplace. I encourage you, as always, guys, to go out, experiment, try new things, do a little bit of research, and form your own opinion. And as always, guys, any kitchen conundrums you have, throw them our way using the hashtag Kitchen Conundrums. We'd love to hear from you, and enjoy your chili peppers. And as always, guys, click like and subscribe.